Hello and welcome to Coach Marketing Mastery Mondays. We're going to go over how to be a hot date with, I almost called you Linda, India, Kern, and Schoen, co-founders of Coach Marketing Mastery. Morning coffee, sippy sip. So, we're going to jump right into it. But first of all, how was your weekend?
It was good. I have a good title for this. I know we didn't name it that because we didn't want to look like a dating channel, but I sent you a graphic. It said, "Don't be or stop being a love them and leave them coach."
Wow.
That's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, that sounds good if you're a girl. Guys don't really think that way, but
well,
I guess we think totally opposite. Anyhow, I do. Maybe not real men.
Well, when it comes to coaching, you want to keep them. So, because if you love them and leave them, then you can't get, not that it's all about income, but you could actually add more value and they stay with you longer.
Yeah, it's retaining customers, which we kind of have. There's been an issue out there in the CRM world, and I'm not going to say which CRM, but there's just been an issue with things where they're having challenges keeping people in the payment system. So that's affecting a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of that out there. But did you want to share your screen, or are we just going to go?
No, we can definitely share the screen. Let me just get everything situated here. Okay, share screen, and here we go. Let me just give it in presentation mode. Present. Okay.
So the first one's intrigue. So we're going to just talk a little bit about traffic, email blasts, social posts, lead magnets on there, which is interesting. And then it's the word intrigue. So I guess it would be intriguing. So we talk about the reason that the reason I didn't want to have the word dating in the post is because it's a picture of India and myself in social media. And then it was saying from dating to love, lasting love or something.
Right, exactly.
Like that. So we changed it to climbing business relationships from, business relationships to lasting partnerships, something like that.
Right. So intrigue could be curiosity. How do we get, basically turning a glance into a stare, right?
Right. So I call it
the
dog whistle. It's not really a dog whistle, but it's going to be a whistle. Get someone to pay attention, to look over at you.
Right.
Right. So how do you do that?
So how do I do that? I do it with social posts. I do it with email blast. I have, when they are on my, when I am doing a social post, I have a lead magnet. And if you don't know what that is, that's just simply some kind of resource that you can give the interested party, the curious party, in exchange for their email. So I love using landing pages for that, and we can go through that later. But that's how I do it. And of course, I do presentations. I go and I speak to a big group, and then I make an offer, and they can opt in. In fact, you did that recently. Why don't you share with them how you did that? With
what did I do?
The presentation.
Where did I do a presentation?
You did a presentation for Captivate, and you offered a lead magnet.
Yeah, so that's traffic, and basically when you just speak anywhere, it's going to be traffic. So I look at the traffic sources as paid, and then organic, and then there's speaking, and there's your email list, right, which you already ran traffic to the email list, and then social media marketing. So when you blast out, it's kind of interesting. People will blast out to their email list to say, join my webinar. But we also have this technology, which is one click join my webinar, which means when you blast out the email list, all they got to do is click and it goes in the webinar. They don't got to sign up again. That's if they're already on your email list. Right. So when I spoke, the way that occurred was I just said, go to this website and then put in your name and number, and you'll get the book. But then if you want the video series, which is $2,000, you have to set the appointment. And then if you show up to the appointment, you get the content.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, almost no one asked for the content because they forget by the time they get on the appointment.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So
Now,
yeah,
the reason the content's so important is they're not going to be able to do it on their own. They will if they're smart, but they get the video series. They got to figure it out. But once they become a client, then they get the content. But then they don't even want the content then because they really don't have, like, you have to have a $20,000 offer in order to follow up with that type of with what I offer. So
mm-hmm.
a lot of the people we have aren't the 20,000. Some of them are. I'd say about 25% of the people are $25,000 offer people, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I want to say something. So we compare this to dating a lot. So the intrigue, the curiosity is when you see that person, oh, he's kind of cute. She's kind of cute. And so that's why we're always comparing this to dating, because you don't immediately ask for their hand in marriage. You have to warm them up. And it usually takes at least 8 or more, I think, touches for them to start going, okay, I see them in my inbox a lot. Maybe they don't even read their email, but they see your name because you have a nurture campaign. So that's what we want. We want to turn that glance into a stare by touch points. Hey, I'm here. Remember me? You were interested in that thing you signed up for. Anyway, that's why we're always comparing it to dating.
And then the other thing is going to be the way I see it. And I don't. We used to say, so recently in the past 9 months, we were saying lipstick on a pig, lipstick on the pig. And it's basically lipstick on the pig means where you have an ugly offer, but you make it look good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember why we were saying that. But the way I see intriguing is when guys, what we call, it's rooster. What is it called? Not rooster tail, but it's when they're the puffed up.
Peacocking.
Yeah, when they're peacocking. So it's when a guy is peacocking, or a girl puts on the makeup and makes her, she gets what they say dolled up, right?
Yeah.
She gets dolled up to go out there to have people look, or the guy peacocks. And it's really funny because I've seen these guys in some of the fellowships I'm in, like church, and they start peacocking,
right.
And I'm just like, there he goes, right? But then in when it comes to marketing, you really have to do that. You have to turn the glance into the stare. You have to peacock, but it has to be in a specific way to where your avatar is going to look.
Right.
And if you don't do it the right way, in other words, your favorite saying is you don't put a what?
Hippie on a military base.
Right. So if I'm carrying an AK-47, certain people are going to look at that, but it's not going to be the hippie, right?
No, of course. Yeah. So shall we move to the next tier? Yeah, okay, so let's go down, or up rather. The interest. So this is when that glance turns into a stare. And here, I'll let you go from here. You tell me what you think.
I would just say this is going to be a click, right? So it's going to be a click or some type of subscription if they subscribe to your YouTube. But we're really talking here about them becoming a client. So I have who is it? So one of they're an e-commerce. Who was I just talking to? I was talking to someone over the weekend, and they're an e-commerce platform. So there's not really someone that I'd work with, and all they do is e-commerce. So they're going to do stuff to where people opt in and buy stuff with their credit card number. But with what we mean by opt-in here is you're going to capture their email. So the way I see interest is on a date. If she's dolled up and I'm peacocking and we both show interest in each other, and then I ask her for her phone number and I say, what's your phone number? And then she gives it to me. Usually when I ask for a phone number, now the joke is that you used to have seven numbers and a phone number. Now there's 10, right?
Mhm.
So the joke was, I asked this girl for her number and she gave me the number 6. And I go, "Well, what's the other 6 numbers?" She goes, "I'll tell you later," right?
Mhm.
So it's when they give you the right information, they
Right.
opt in with the right email or the right phone number for SMS texting, right?
Right. So that's actually the best way to look at this is like when you're asking for their phone number, well, we're asking for their email and they give it to us. So that would be the interest.
Right. So then we're gonna get their phone number or their email address
Mhm.
or some type of information. But it could also be if they come to the landing page
Mhm.
and they don't put in their phone number, what you can do is you have this thing called a pixel.
Right.
You have it on there, and then that's going to go to paid ads to where you follow them around with Facebook or with Google, Google ads or whatever.
Right. Right. So we do, and where, in your opinion, where would you put our masterclass? So we do a coach marketing masterclass every first and third Friday. So to me, this is like an interest, but to you, tell me your opinion of that.
Well, I think they're interested when they put in their email, but they're not committed till they show up.
Okay.
So
Fair.
if I get a girl's phone number and I'm like, "Hey, let's go out to coffee," and she's like,
Mhm.
"Okay," and then
Mhm.
I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna meet," and then I'm sitting there waiting for her to show up, and she
Right.
doesn't show up, which, by the way, happens to me almost on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Um, the thing is, she's not committed. There's no zero commitment. There's
Mhm.
interest, all right, but she's
Right.
just not committed. You see it a different way. You see it as in once they give their phone number, they're committed, right?
Well, I saw interest is when they sign up for the master class. They come to the master class. They're interested because there's no money exchanged. I saw it as more of a, as soon as they give money for a service, that to me is commitment. And I think you see it a little differently.
No, what I'm saying is when they put in their email, they're interested. They're not
Mhm.
committed.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree
It's
with that.
when they show up is when they're committed. When
Okay.
they
I
show up,
still think they're interested, not committed, because we have a lot of looky loos.
okay. So
Okay.
if I said the webinar is the coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the email is the web form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I get her phone number, she's interested.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to the coffee shop and she doesn't show up, she's not committed.
That's
So
true.
I would say when they show up to the webinar or the master class, that's when they're committed.
Okay.
But you're saying if they
But
sign up,
I'm saying when they actually exchange money, it's a little bit different way of thinking about it. But it's still
so
makes
you're
sense.
saying when they show up to the webinar, they're not even committed then. That's what you're saying.
Right. They're interested still, but they're not sure if they're ready to pay for a service. So when they pay for the service, I see that as committed.
I don't know because we're talking dating,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically when she shows up, then she's fulfilled the commitment. I got your number, you showed up, and then dinner and a movie would be
Okay.
more.
I will challenge you there. So I see, okay, intrigue as they see across the room.
Remember, there's no money exchanged in dating
I know. So wait,
unless you're a call girl,
right.
which
So
which
let me explain my dating scenario. So the intrigue, you see him across the room, you're like, oh, it's cute, whatever. You maybe talk, and then she can I have your phone number? Interest, yes, they give the phone number. You go on a coffee date. Commitment is more when you're like going steady. Interest is when you have a date or two, maybe a coffee date. So that's the difference. What
I
I
don't know. My commitment usually happens on the first date, so that's where we defer.
commitment, you're going steady on the first date.
Oh yeah,
Okay. Okay. So let's speaking of commitment, let's go to the next one. So commitment is when you retain them, right? You are their private coach, you maybe do a mastermind, you do one-on-one coaching, maybe you get paid for a keynote presentation. So how do you see it, Sean?
So again, commitment is just where they're going to show up. They're committed. They're like, okay, because you could say, listen, the commitment can go anywhere from we're married to we're going to have kids to where we're now going to buy a house. Like,
Mhm.
but I'm just saying that very first time that they show up, they're showing a commitment to at least show up. That's the way I view it.
Okay.
Okay. It's like they show up to the webinar. Now, money doesn't have to exchange, it's just them showing up is the commitment. Then, once they become a client, I don't know what the slide is after this.
There's not one.
Okay, so then it doesn't really money doesn't need to be exchanged. They need to show up. They can follow you for years,
Mhm.
right? And then they become your client. But they're
Yeah.
committed. They're and you could say it, the context could be interested or committed. What you're saying is commitment is when money is exchanged, but that isn't always necessarily true because they still might just like your content and like showing up and like just like dating, right? Like they go out but they never give it up, like
Right.
like Casey and the Sunshine Band, right?
I saw them in concert, went on stage with Casey.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's probably why you're in therapy. So I don't even know if you're in therapy, but
I'm not
anyhow,
happy.
but the thing is that the commitment can be either or. Now
Yeah.
it could be once they become a client, how do you keep them as a client? How do you keep them committed? So what you're saying here is a keynote presentation. You're saying that's committed.
Well, I mean, say you or get paid for it. That's what we're saying, exchange of money. But going back to what you said, how to keep them committed is offering value. So oftentimes, what most coaches make the mistake of, and I've definitely been there too, is kind of like a one and done or a package and done, where you really want to continue to offer value and keep them in your fold. So how am I going to do that? So let's just take divorce coaching because it's what I know. You start off, you help them with the game planning, the strategizing their divorce, then getting them over the finish line. And then what could you do beyond that? Well, it could stop there. But what if you did something for post divorce, like getting back on your feet? Dating again, relationship coaching, so there's so many options to keep them in your fold rather than the one and done. So love them and leave them. You don't have to do that. You actually can continue to offer value.
And then everything ends up at weight loss or weight gain and then mindset.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Because most of the coaching I do divorce coaching on also, and most of that ends up being I have one client who's been with me over a year. And it's very little divorce coaching at this point. We're doing mindset coaching, we're doing lifestyle, it's relationship coaching, it's all that. So just be thinking, how do I retain them? And another advice that I heard on this ladder is you put zero at the bottom, like zero, the amount zero, like intrigue is you're not asking for money. But then at the top of the ladder, you put like 50K or you put 100K, whatever you want to make. So you'd be thinking, okay, how am I going to get to that point? The first 6 to 8 rungs there's not much money being exchanged.
What are you talking about? Coaching?
Yeah, in coaching.
What was that noise?
Sorry, I have landscapers next to me, so
Okay.
it might be a little loud.
So we had
So
so
you want
there's
to stop sharing? Do you want to stop sharing?
no, you can leave it up there. There's some coaches out there that there's this kid over in another country, not America,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't even he knew nothing about being a financial advisor, and he made a training for financial advisors. This kid was in his 20s, and like within a few months he's making 50 grand a month in his training for financial. So it can go real fast or it can go
Wow.
real slow. It could be
Yeah.
a slow roll. It could take decades or it could take a few months, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
can't really, it depends on what type of entrepreneur you are, what your passion is, how willing you are to work. And for some people, it just goes real fast. I've watched people come up fast, but I've also watched them fall hard. You know,
Mhm.
we had a lady come in, she wasn't making a lot of money. And then we ran a program for her. She started making 30 grand a month. We told her, don't spend any of the money. Like, keep it. You got to spend money to make money.
Mhm.
You know? And she went out and bought a Tesla. And then she went from 30 grand a month to 8 grand a month to 4 grand a month. And then she had a Tesla payment. And we told her, don't go out and do that. You got to take all the money and you got to put it back into the business. You could take some out for yourself, but you just can't go out and buy something ridiculous. Um, you know, you just want to keep it really simple.
Mhm. Mhm. I thought it would be nice to see her face rather than just the slide.
That's fine.
So I love the idea of the ladder, you know, and so it really helped me think about even our business and where we want to go, because you know, you can't jump straight to the mastermind when people don't know who you are, right?
Right. But the thing is, it's just like becoming a coach. The
Mm-hmm.
way people become coaches is the first thing they say is, I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go out there and they say, I'm a coach. I'm watching these videos right now of people that were 8 years old, if not 2 years old when I started coaching, and now they're like my coach,
Yeah.
right? And so my current coach, I'm like, dude, like, you're old enough to be my son, but he's teaching me stuff I completely forgot, like
Mm-hmm.
impeccability, like be impeccable in your life, be impeccable with what you put in your body, with what the way you treat your body, the way you clean your house, the way you clean your car, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the way you shave, the way you keep your hair, the way you tie your shoes, you know, in everything you do. And there was a time in my life where I was impeccable. I was in a thing called Landmark, and
Mm-hmm.
I was impeccable with everything I did, except I was doing drugs, right? But I did drugs impeccably. You should have seen me crawling on the
You were really good at it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would clean that pipe better than anybody. So anyhow, but the thing is, that it's like I forgot what it was like to live that way and to have that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I'm saying is that that when you're like, you got to have a business model and a business plan.
Right.
So what is the business model that people have in the business plan? That gets right back to what's happening in 3 days, which I don't know if anyone's going to show up to that or not, but it's building an unstoppable business.
Right.
And the way that works, a lot like this ladder, and I'm going through from that in my head, is people need to be aware you exist. You need to educate them. You need to do something to turn the glance into a stare.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make educational videos. You got to be out in social media.
Right.
Then once they subscribe, right, that could be the commitment, is that they subscribed, or it could be the interest,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all context. And then once they show up to your thing, but then after that, it says, after they subscribe and show up to your master, let's say you have a master class, once they show up, then you gotta excite them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
really need to get that app that
I know. I know. Of course, they love to
it's free. It's free.
love
And I'm
to
gonna
do
give a
the
plug to
landscaping.
everyone right now. It's called Crisp with a K,
Okay.
KRISP, and I think it's AI. You install it and all the background noise goes away.
Can you
But
do it after the fact?
huh?
Can you do it after it's been recorded?
No. And so then the thing is that after they show up to the master class, then you got to excite them. So
Mm-hmm.
what I used to do before Zoom was popular and everybody was using GoToWebinar and GoToMeeting, and you had to pay $20 a month to get the recording, I would say, okay, listen, all you need to do is go to a Zoom account and you get 40 minutes of 1080p recording for free. Then after that, there's the upsell. So I've had this whole model where
Mm-hmm.
it's coaching and the upsell is done for you, and the upsell from that is mastermind.
Right.
Always been there.
Yeah.
And I've had this for years and years and years, this whole model. I just hadn't applied it till recently. So here's the challenge when it comes to anybody in coaching. It's going and being focused in one thing and getting that thing going and then doing the next thing.
Hmm.
But when is the right time to do the next thing? That's going to be the challenge.
Right. And also having a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you'll be a part of someone else's. So, as a coach, it's really this ladder is so important to have your plan and how you're going to reach those goals.
Right. So some of the things that I've done is before Coach Marketing Mastery, I was doing the automated marketing summit, which was all marketing agencies. So I have these 750 agencies just waiting. Like when we had our first automated marketing summit like a year ago, almost a year ago, like I think August last year, one of my clients was in there and I didn't really know what was happening because of the software we were using, but everyone that was talking about me, he said they all talked about you with reverence. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I didn't expect that, but everybody really appreciated what I had put together. So now I got
Hmm.
to maintain that. And then the thing is, if you don't maintain your list and stay in touch with your people, then it falls apart. So we stayed in front of them. We just ran a campaign recently, in the past week, and last Friday we had the automated marketing summit, and everyone that showed up stayed for 2 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's great. I was there.
Yeah, we
Well,
didn't
I'm
have
trying
a
to
lot of.
mute when the guy comes by, just so you know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've been doing these for years, and everyone that does master classes or webinars, everyone knows that gardeners never come by until you're live. Ever. They never, they'll
I
go,
know. It's
and then
amazing.
even if you say, okay, we're gonna move it to 11 o'clock, their
Hmm.
car is gonna break down, and
Hmm.
then they're gonna show up an hour late, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna go on the webinar. So anyhow, so that's kind of the thing. That's like the model. So it's great to have a model, a plan, a timeline, and understand everything where you're going from here to here to here to here,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then also having the cash flow. That's going to be the problem. I have other things called the 30 day and 90-day business building, right? I have Business Buyers Academy. So we were running Business Buyers Academy last year. So all of these different things that I've been doing, they're all coming together, right? Business Buyers Academy is going to be, once people get up to the mastermind, how do they sell their business, or how do they buy a business, and how do they take their business and buy more and make their business stronger? So I already have all of the content for that. I just got to roll it out. That's all that's happening.
So, well, before we get off today, you want to tell them about well, we have two things. We have the Build Unstoppable Business webinar on June 13th at 1
Yeah.
Pacific
You
time.
know what's funny is that's at coachmarketingmasterclass.com/unstoppable.
Right.
And but it could have just been at Coach Marketing Mastery. I just redirected that. But right now it's Coach Marketing Master class/.com/unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Or what was the other thing? And
Or the
then
other thing is the master class that we're doing the first and third Friday. So you can find that at coachmarketingmasterclass.com.
yeah, and I think we still need to do that just every Friday.
Oh, do you
I
want to do
think
that?
my coach, I got coaching on that from my particular one of my coaches,
Mm-hmm.
and he said do it he said do it once a month,
Right.
and I'm like, dude, like once a month. If once we start managing the list, then
Mm-hmm.
we can do that,
Yeah.
right? But right now we got to start we got to take this content right now, and we have to take this content and rip it up into like something valuable, and then blast this out to the list.
Right.
So every week this would be the content.
Yeah.
And
So, okay. So scratch that. It's this Friday. So join us at Coach Marketing Masterclass this Friday. So you can find us at coachmarketingmasterclass.com or come to the webinar, which is Build an Unstoppable Business on June 13th at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And again, he said the website, which is Coach Marketing Masterclass /unstoppable. Is that what it is?
.com/unstoppable.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I think we're good.